Welcome back to the Prez Podcast. I'm your host, the Prez, and as always, my co-host here is Kian. We're going to give you our power rankings and break down the three games happening tomorrow on Thanksgiving, and then one special game on Friday. Just want to say from Kian and I, hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family or whoever you decide to spend it with, or Turkey Day, or whatever you may call it. If you're not a celebrator of Thanksgiving, hope you just enjoy the day off and do something nice. Maybe watch football. Anyways, that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to do the power rankings real quick. Going to try to go through them because we do have 4 games to break down. Like I said, 3 games on Thursday and 1 on Friday before we do our stuff for Saturday. So let's get into it. Power rankings. You go first.
Okay. At number 10, this was a really tough decision for me.
Okay.
It was very difficult. Ultimately, I really don't think there's a team that is worthy of a number 10 spot right here. It's just so close. So,
Not worthy. Can you elaborate on not worthy?
well, see, all of the teams in contention, they just did not play good enough, and I just I don't think that either any teams, um, all of the other teams in the league, they either are bad or they did not play well last week and are average team.
So would you say you're on the Tom Brady boat, who came out this week famously on a podcast with Stephen A. Smith saying NFL is a bad product right now? You're saying there's a lot of mediocrity, a lot of mid-level teams. Is that what you're saying? Are you agreeing with the evil Tom Brady?
I do think there's a decent amount of mediocrity, but you could say that's what makes it fun.
Okay, all right.
I mean, close.
All right. Well, the controversy at number 10.
Just to list out a few, in case you're wondering: Cincinnati, Houston, Seattle, Minnesota, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and potentially Denver.
Yeah, so they're not good. I get your point, all right? But I didn't have the forethought of you that I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know not taking someone was an option. Leaving a blank, future reference, got it right there. But in my number 10, I wrote a team down. And I think it's probably the biggest surprise in the league. There's been a lot of, going back and forth with this, but it's the Houston Texans for me at number 10. C.J. Stroud going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year in a landslide. I think if he got hurt next week, he'd still win it. D'Amico Ryans fast track to be Coach of the Year. This guy's pick here, and here's why they're number 10. They're 6-4. They go against Jacksonville. They win that game. They'll have 2 wins over Jacksonville and have the lead in the division, which is crazy. Don't get me wrong. It's not like the AFC South is full of world beaters, but we thought this was maybe one of the worst rosters in the NFL. Bottom 3 team for sure going into the season. I think it was pretty even across the board, except for what this guy thought was going to happen. So my number 10 is the Texans. I know I said we were going to be quick, but you threw out this controversial no pick, and now I'm rambling about the Texans. Here's what I'll say about their last game. Yes, they didn't beat the Cardinals by a lot, but they did overcome C.J. Stroud throwing 3 picks, and that's what winning in the NFL is. A lot of weeks, it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to have to win against adversity, and they did that, and they're still charging forward. They're 4-1 at home now. What's not to like? Number 10, Houston Texans. Who's your number 9? Hopefully it's a team, not a Donald Duck.
At number 9, I have the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
I have them dropping 1 spot. It was a close game, a low-scoring game against Pittsburgh. I mean, I do think they are the better team, as I do have them on the power rankings here. But I do think it was just a bit close, and I don't think that they would have a great game against some of the other teams ranked higher on this list. They do have a lot of talent, but ultimately, I don't think that they can face the other teams on this list.
Okay. Number 9, same team, Cleveland Browns, 7-3, won with DTR quarterback, won 13-10 of their hated rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did so much so that Matt Canada got fired, and because he couldn't beat 13 lowly points. Maybe that's the biggest win we got from this game between the Browns and Steelers. We don't have to hear that stupid "Fire Matt Canada" chant anymore, and we can be done with it for the rest of the season. But let's talk about the Browns. Browns are 7-3 without Deshaun Watson, without Nick Chubb, with the best defense in the league. What's not to like? I do think they'll make a lot of noise in the playoffs. Probably not. Not if they can't complete a forward pass. So right now they're number 9, but fun to watch on defense. Who's your 8?
Okay, at number 8, I have a team coming off of a huge win against a divisional opponent, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they have been playing well, and it's gonna be interesting seeing next week how that game goes against the Texans. It could potentially determine who we think is gonna win the AFC South. I do think right now that Jacksonville just has less doubts, and they have played really well. They did have a big win, so I do think that they might not be one of those top teams in the league, but they have proven that they can be. So 8 Jaguars.
Okay, my number 8 is the Miami Dolphins. Now, I've had my Miami lower than you have. You have more respect for them than I do, and I know they've been closer to the top of your list. They won a game they should have won, again, only by 7 over a team, the Raiders, that is playing better, and this game was closer than the 7 points looks. Really came down to the fourth quarter. Dolphins did what they needed to do. Nice, tough game against the Jets this Friday. We'll get into that later. They're positioning themselves to win the division, and who knows, they get a home playoff game, what's going to happen. Their defense is playing better. I just want to see them beat a contender. That's why they're still at number 8 for me, the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, at number 7 for me, I have the Detroit Lions, ending with a comeback win against the Bears.
Right.
In a game where their offense at first, passing the ball did not look so great. Jared Goff did not play well in this game.
3 picks.
Yes, and I think if we continue to see that, then I don't know if they can play against some of these other teams in the top. Right now, if they play like this, I think that they are going to be in this range. Number 7, Detroit.
All right, number 7 for me is the Dallas Cowboys. Beating up on lowly teams, need to see them. Another team that need to see them show up in the big games. Now, they played Philadelphia pretty good on the road, but they got blown out by the rival, the 49ers. I want to see this team do it. They've got a couple games coming up down the stretch. You know, they got Philadelphia again. Some teams that they can really prove themselves to me. But right now, 7-3. I mean, CUM is on a tear. Pretty awesome to see. But again, I want to see this team prove it at the most crucial times. We need to see Dak win some big games. At number 7, it's the Cowboys.
Okay, at number 6, it's the Cowboys. I think I do agree. They've been able to blow out these weak teams, and I think that shows that they can be good, but they haven't won a really big game against another big team. So I don't think that we can say that they are a top team in the league. But until I see them lose a big game against another team, then I'm not going to have them fall lower. So right now I have them in the middle.
Okay. My number 6 team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Got back on track against the lowly Tennessee Titans. That poor Titans offensive line will make anybody look really, really good. But big game for Jacksonville coming up. This is make or break time. They got to go to Houston.
Yes.
They got to win the game. Remember they lost that game last year to Houston when Houston had no business winning football games 13-7. They got blown out at home earlier this year by Houston. I don't know what team we're going to give at Jacksonville. Is we get a team that looked really, really disorganized against a good San Francisco team, or are we going to get the team that played well against Buffalo? You know, had a fighting chance against Kansas City? I don't know. They're kind of bipolar. They're kind of crazy. But I'm not sure what Trevor Lawrence is going to do. He did have his best game against Tennessee. So good to see that out of him. But right now, they're just kind of middle of the pack, even though they have a really good record. That's number 6, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay. At number 5, I have the Miami Dolphins. This is a team that I felt like I could have dropped. I ended up not dropping them because I feel like they are better than the teams below them right now. They ended up getting the win, and I feel like they are kind of in a similar situation with Dallas, in that they really haven't proven that they can play as good as some of the other top teams in the league, and I don't think that they are there right now. So I have them in the middle right here.
Okay. All right. Number 5 for me is the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that's low. I know it's crazy to talk about the defending champs this way. But Eric Bieniemy being gone, no one seems to be talking about it, especially in the national media. They're blaming the lack of receivers. Really focused on the receivers. Really focused on that. Don't get me wrong, Travis Kelce looks a little slower. He's pretty banged up. He's playing through some injuries right now. Mahomes is not playing his best. That pick they're throwing it to Justin Watson in the end zone and Kevin Byard picking it off. Wasn't a great choice. Tried to fit it in. Feeling desperate. But you know what I'm missing? I'm missing that lack of creativity in offense. You know, it looked like those plays that they would do, really creative plays, really creative schemes, they would scheme guys open. It's really missing. They're really missing it. And I think it's hurting their offense, especially needed with all these receivers. You need to find ways to get them really wide open and put them in good spots. And I think it's the OC Bieniemy. So I just don't trust them as much as I have in previous years. That's why they're number 5.
Okay, at number 4, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I don't have them moving because they ended up getting the win. Still feel like they're playing good, and that they can beat some other big teams in the league. I don't think that they have been played doubtful, so I don't think I should have them in the top 3 right now. But they are definitely a top team in the league. So right now at 4 is the Niners.
Okay. At 4 for me, I have the Detroit Lions. That's a game that they played this last Sunday that for the last 30 years of my life, Detroit Lions lose every time. They lose that game every time. They get down. They have a bunch of turnovers, playing sloppy. They need 2 touchdowns to win in the last 7 minutes. Heck no. Then I win a game. Now, don't get me wrong. Matt Stafford had some crazy comebacks when he was playing in Detroit with Calvin Johnson, and they made some, a couple playoff runs and stuff like that when he was there. But Detroit doesn't have a great history with that, especially, at home. To see them do that was really impressed. Goff could have packed it in after throwing picks. These weren't tip balls. These were thrown right at defenders. These were bad picks. But trusting Dan Campbell, trusting his players. He ran the football. They didn't change from their scheme. They just ran the football, played defense, and came back and won that game against a bad Bears team. But I think Detroit knows who they are. I think they know what their strengths are, and they're not trying to figure it out in the middle of the year. And that's why at 8-2, they're high at number 4 on my list.
Okay, number 3, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I do have them dropping to 3 because they did end up losing, and for some of the same reasons that you talked about. Their offense just has not been as good, and there are multiple things you can point at. The receivers not playing as well, Mahomes not playing as well, Kelce not playing as well, not much creativity on offense, and that just adds up. And I think that they just aren't in that top 2 conversation right now, and maybe they might not even be in the top 3. But for now, until I see more, I still think that they are a top 3 team in the league. So the Chiefs are at 3.
All right, my number 3 is the San Francisco 49ers. After their 3-game losing streak, they've bounced back with good wins, an impressive win on the road against Jacksonville, handled their business at home against Tampa Bay. Everybody's back and healthy, especially their best player in Trent Williams. When Trent Williams is playing healthy, Brock Purdy plays better. Imagine that. Your starting left tackle, who's the best left tackle in the league, protecting your blind side, gives a little confidence in a young quarterback, and he's able to make plays. Purdy maybe had his best day passing last week. He's really distributing the ball well. I think this year seeing Kittle being more involved in the passing offense has been nice to see. I love George Kittle as a player. By the way, every team had a chance at George Kittle. He didn't get drafted till later in the round. He was one of those high Iowa tight ends picked. Anyway, so the 49ers are back on track. I think they're about to make a run through the NFC, just like they did last year in the second half. At number 3, I got the 49ers.
Okay, at number 2, I have the Baltimore Ravens. They ended up with a 2-score win against Cincinnati, a team who I don't have in my top 10.
Bye-bye, Joe Burrow. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and I do think you could say maybe Joe Burrow doesn't get injured, the Bengals have a chance. But I still think Baltimore wins this game, and I think that they would win this game every time, because they are a better team and they are definitely top 2 best teams in the league for me right now. They just have been playing so good, and I think they could beat any team right now. So if that can happen, then you're definitely top 2. So Ravens.
Ravens, for me at number 2 as well. Baltimore looks like the class of the AFC, especially if Kansas City doesn't get it figured out. Baltimore could get number 1 seed in the playoffs, and I hope they do, and maybe have a chance to win some playoff games. It'd be really cool to see Lamar go on a playoff run.
Yeah.
I feel like this team is the most well-rounded. They can throw the ball. They have 4 good receivers. They have a bevy of running backs, and their defense is attacking you from all sides. Lead the league in sacks, getting a lot of turnovers. I just don't know what's not to like, except for sometimes they blow it in the fourth quarter. Let's not worry about that right now. But playing like the best team in the AFC, that's why they're number 2. Who's your number 1, Kian? Let me guess.
Okay, guess.
It's the same team I have. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you got it right then. You could be.
Well, you'll see when I reveal my number 1.
Yeah, well, if you change it last minute, it's the Eagles at number 1 for me. They ended up beating Kansas City, shutting them out in the second half. And I do think they're the best team in the league right now. They just have been playing so good, so consistently. Their offense has been playing really good. Their defense has been playing really good. And I just don't think there's another team that can match that. Baltimore is really close, and I think they could definitely potentially beat this team in the playoffs. I think in the Super Bowl. I mean, that would be fun. But Philadelphia they're really, really consistent, and so I have them at 1.
Okay. Number 1, the Eagles. 9-1. They went on the road. Event Super Bowl. It's not nearly as big. It's just a regular season game. It really doesn't do much but pump up their record. Had to feel good for the Eagles, though. Get that off their back.
Yeah.
Offense didn't really play that well. Defense made 2 key turnovers in the red zone. Kevin Byard pick in the end zone. The fumble made Travis Kelce fumble in the red zone. Those 2 turnovers basically the key to the game. People want to talk about the scalding. MVS drops that touchdown at the end of the game that maybe is a big factor. Of course, seeing a guy in a 50-yard bomb drop a touchdown is hard to see, but they don't turn the ball over in the red zone. They win this game. So, your best players made bad plays. That's what happened. And that's the problem with Kansas City right now. Too many turnovers. Their offense is not playing good. They haven't been scoring in the second half of football games, being shut down, not making adjustments. Again, it's very beginning.
This is Philadelphia.
I know.
Not Philadelphia.
I know. But I
We're
can't.
talking about Kansas City.
Because I want to. Why are you doing this to me?
You already covered Kansas City.
I know I did. Why are we whispering? Okay, so back to the Eagles. Thank you. I'm very tired. Back to the Eagles. For the Eagles, you have this nice 2-game cushion on the Cowboys. Even the Cowboys beat you. You have a 1-game cushion. You do have some tough games coming up. You have a battle with San Francisco later in the year. You do have a matchup with Bills coming up. So you have some tougher games. But you know what? All you're doing is winning football. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Trying to get that 1 seed. And I think there's a high chance they get that 1 seed. Detroit maybe being the only team that can catch them. So if you're the Eagles fans, you've got to be excited. It doesn't look the same way it did last year, and that's because you had a cupcake schedule last year. All you got to do is win. If you want to see an impressive play, though, most impressive play I saw from the game against Kansas City was a simple toss bait to Swift And watching Travis Kelce as a center at 36 years old hike the ball, um, Jason Kelce hike the ball, and then run through the B gap, run downfield, and throw a defensive back like a sack of potatoes out of the way as Swift runs down to the 1 yard line. That man's 36 years old. 36-year-old centers don't move like that. It's pretty impressive. Guy's a Hall of Famer, and he epitomizes what the Eagles are all about. He's a big leader in that locker room. Awesome to see Jason Kelce. Want to make sure he gets his kudos because his brother's been in the media a lot. Anyway, number 1, the Eagles. I talked about them. There we go. All right. We took way too long on the rankings because I like to ramble. It's not my fault. He was quick. All right. Let's do our 4 matchups. It was my fault. Yes. The 4 matchups. Starting in the morning, usually the morning Thanksgiving game is the Detroit game. And we get a nice division game. We get Green Bay going to Detroit. Green Bay gets that nice win at home against the Chargers. Jordan Love has his best game. I'm going to say that was mostly due because the Chargers defense was bad. But makes you feel good, right? The young player's playing well. Aaron Jones' injury kind of hurts. I don't think he's going to be playing on Thursday. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think Detroit's going to run the ball down their throats like they did the last time. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Lions. They basically destroyed the Packers last time, and I think that will happen again. The Green Bay has only looked worse, and Detroit, I don't think, I think Jared Goff will play better this game, and I think their offense will do better, and they will get the win by at least 1 score.
Next up, got the Commanders going to face the Cowboys. Now, the Commanders have given the Eagles trouble twice, but then can't beat the Giants. I can't figure out the Commanders at all. I have no idea what's up with them. And the Cowboys are feasting on poor competition, and that's what I would think the Commanders do. I think the Commanders can move the ball, throw the ball a little well on offense, but their secondary and their pass defense is poor. So I expect CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott to have a big game. Give me Dallas by 10.
Yeah, so, there might be a little reason to worry for the Cowboys, but I still think part of the Commanders' biggest weaknesses are going up against some of the Cowboys' big strengths, that being their pass defense versus CeeDee Lamb, who's been playing amazing, and their O-line. I feel bad for Sam Howell going into this game. Going against DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. This is not going to be a fun game for Commanders. I do think Dallas wins this one easily.
All right, next up, another divisional battle. 3 divisional battles. A lot of family feuds going on Turkey Day. San Francisco, hot team, travels to Seattle to face the Seahawks, who blew a perfectly good chance to be 7-3 and be on my rankings. But no, we're just not allowed to have nice things, are we, Seattle? Anyways, I don't think this game will be close either. I think that with Chase Young and Nick Bosa and the Seattle offensive line being so poor, they're starting a 40-year-old right tackle who wasn't signed ready, basically had to come out of retirement. Don't get me wrong, Jason Peters is a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be chasing really young defensive ends around all day. I just think San Francisco better roster. Maybe this game will be a little closer. Maybe not. It could be a blowout. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm sadly taking the 49ers.
Yeah, so I think this game is either close, but the 49ers win, or it's a blowout and the 49ers win. And I
very disheartening.
I mean, Seattle could potentially play well this game. They have shown that they can play well, but ultimately the 49ers are just a way better team, and
still hurts. Still hurts.
I don't like saying this either, but it has to be said. The 49ers are going to win this game. They're a better team.
Okay. Moving on to Friday.
I'm sorry.
Why do they have to play on Thanksgiving? Why do they have to ruin my holiday? All right. Friday. It's the Jets and the Dolphins. And the Jets have moved on from Zach Wilson. In fact, they've moved so far on him, he's now the third string quarterback. They're moving to Tim Boyle, who in his career in college and the NFL has a horrible TD to interception ratio. That's how bad Zach Wilson is. They're starting Tim Boyle. They didn't want to sign someone 6 weeks ago when their Jets weren't moving the football. They wanted to wait till this last minute. Here's the thing. Their offensive line is so bad. It's the worst in the NFL. Maybe the worst offensive lines are in the city of New York. Both the Giants and the Jets have horrible offensive lines. Some of them due to injuries. Some of them due to bad roster management. Either way, poor city of New York can't defend their quarterbacks. I don't know if it matters if Rodgers is back. I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think Miami's going to unleash that pass rush. The defense is getting better. I think they're going to blitz more. And I think Boyle throws maybe 3 picks. Give me Miami by a ton.
Yeah, I think that this will be a game that Miami will definitely win this game. The Bills destroyed the Jets just last week, and maybe another AFC East team will destroy the Jets this week. I think that will happen, and the Dolphins are definitely going to win this game.
All right, everyone. Have a great day of football, and we'll talk to you soon. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.